Are you traveling for the holiday season? I know we are, and I follow a low carb, keto friendly lifestyle, which can be a little bit of a challenge with the traveling situation. I've got a few ideas on food items you can bring with you to make the situation a little easier. But first of all, I'm Lindsey. I have been following a low carb, keto friendly lifestyle for almost 9 years at this point. I've had a lot of experience eating this lifestyle through all of the different holidays, numerous times over again with all of the friends, families, loved ones, all of it. And I just wanted to share a few things that I was troubleshooting and planning on bringing with us on our current travel plan. A little bit of context. We are traveling with limited amounts of space, meaning I don't have an entire car where I can just load it up with all of the different things that would make my entire food consumption experience comfortable. I also am going to be going to my family's home where I'm going to have complete access to a very well equipped kitchen with lots of room for me to add in just a few things. But my things I'm going to bring are going to be a small, compact sort of situation. So even if there isn't a lot of extra room, I could still make this easily work. If you're traveling to a hotel or some sort of a condo or an Airbnb that's not going to be as well stocked, keep that in mind. And these suggestions are explicitly for someone who is able to go and have full access to a complete kitchen. I got my list here, so let's just start at the top. The top thing I'm going to bring is actually pre-measured ingredients for my egg wraps. I have a keto tortilla replacement recipe on my website that is a printable recipe. I'm planning on taking the dry ingredients pre-measured in a Ziploc bag. And then on the outside of the bag, I'll just write down exactly how much water I need to add to that. I can whisk it up in a glass or in a measuring cup or a bowl or whatever. And then I can easily make those tortillas on the stove, or because I'll have access to the oven, I can put them on a sheet pan and let them cook in the oven to use as replacement tortillas, replacement lasagna noodles, enchiladas, like whatever is being made in the family home. I can easily use that as a substitution. Even like fettuccine, I can just slice them up really thinly and we're good to go. Next up is some pre-measured egg bread mix. Now, I'm using Neely from Indigo Neely's recipe for this, and I'm just going to bring one batch for this experience, this trip, because my family likes to do a lot of sandwiches for lunches and then make the dinner meal sort of the more elaborate main thing. So I will be bringing one one recipe's worth of Neely's dry bread mix for the egg bread. And then separately, I will bring the amount of dry powdered fat that I want to use. I always use MCT oil powder. It just for some reason has never failed me. Sometimes the butter fails, sometimes the egg yolks fail. The MCT oil powder never fails me. So I'll bring the two of those separate baggies so the fats don't mix with the non fat ingredients. And on the outside of my bag, again, I'm going to write just the amount of water that I need to add to the mixer when it is time for me to dump the bags into the bowl and let the mixer do its thing. I'm also going to bring maybe like 2 packets of KetoChow. KetoChow is a nutritionally complete meal replacement shake mix that comes in 1,000 different flavors. That's actually hyperbolic. It's not 1,000, but it feels like 1,000 because they have so many different options available and they're all delicious. No. There are a couple that are really my top favorite. Blueberry pie, chocolate core, hands down, love those. But there are so many other flavors that are amazing as well. So I'm going to bring 2 packets of these. Now, I'm not going to use these as a meal replacement while I am out visiting family or traveling on, this excursion. Instead, I'm going to mix one up and have it in the fridge. So if I have like all of a sudden a sweet craving that I just can't get rid of, I can go pour out a few ounces of that and try to curb that craving. And I'm not trying to turn this into my entire meal. I'm not going to bring enough keto chow to last the entire trip. It's going to be it's going to be a limited amount and used for the very specific purpose of curbing sweet cravings. And KetoChow, once it's mixed up, can last between like 5 and 6 days in the fridge. So if I mix up one whenever we first get there and I kind of work my way through it, perfect. And then if I need to mix up the second one, it'll be available for me to do so at the appropriate time. That way I make it through the entire experience without having to either fall victim to some delicious sweet treat that my mom makes or just have to like white knuckle it through the entire trip. The last dry product that I'm going to bring with me is electrolytes. I love the convenience of having little stick packs of electrolytes. And this is another option for me to curb sweet cravings. I do love the fruity flavors, and I also really love the chocolatey flavors. Salty is the brand that I use most frequently, and that is what I will be taking with us on our trip. I'm not going to go overboard though. I tend to drink electrolytes throughout the day here at home, but I don't want to I don't want to bulk up my gear with a ton of electrolytes. So I'm going to plan to bring like one electrolyte packet per day for my fruity flavors, and then maybe bring like 4 or 5 chocolatey flavors in order to sort of have as a hot chocolate while I'm visiting my family. There are also some things that I would like to have fresh, accessible to myself in the fridge if at all possible. So my family usually asks, "Is there anything that we can have on hand for you?" But if that's not sort of a common thing for you or your family or friends, then saying, "Hey, could I have just a little bit of space in the fridge to go and put a few fresh items for myself in the fridge?" Usually people are pretty good with that, especially if you're kind of upfront, like, "Hey, I really like to have these things. I'd like, can I just have a little sliver of room in the fridge for those?" People are okay with that most often. We're gonna start off with eggs, eggs, and eggs. Usually people are pretty comfortable with eggs, barring any kind of allergens. But eggs are so fast, simple, easy. Everybody on a keto friendly lifestyle loves the eggs. Low carb lifestyle loves the eggs. High protein lifestyle loves the eggs. So eggs, and it's not a out there kind of a request. Just having a few eggs specifically for eating rather than for baking. That would be one item. And to follow up with that would be cheese, another super quick, snacky thing that you can grab when you are just like starting to feel a little bit like, oh, I need something to eat. Dinner's not for another couple of hours. Out of my element, I need a snack. Cheese sticks or sliced cheese, totally small, compact type of nutrition that you can have that is also not out there as far as odd requests. So, eggs and cheese. The third thing would be heavy cream if you use dairy. Obviously, the cheese is an if you use dairy situation too. So, if you use dairy, heavy cream, asking them to have that. Sometimes people have this, sometimes they don't. During the holiday baking season, you would expect people to be more likely to have heavy cream in their fridge, but asking if there's a little space for some heavy cream in there, and you can always add that heavy cream to the chocolate electrolyte packet and make a decadent hot chocolate that will sort of like curb any of those sweet cravings along with that keto chow I mentioned earlier. So having those options really kind of can get you through some of the harder moments. And then finally, nuts. If you're barring allergies, right? So if you've got people in the home who are allergic to nuts, this does not apply. But usually people will have some form of nuts in their pantry for baking. And those kinds of things can definitely get you through a snacky moment when you're struggling, and toast them up on a skillet with a little bit of salt, a little bit of butter, and then you can have a really yummy treat. But also I just eat them raw. And I just you got to always have some sort of a crunchy thing, and that's where the nuts come in. You could go the route of asking for pork rinds or something crunchy like that. But I find that nuts are a little bit more probable to find in someone's pantry. And also, they get a lot fewer eyebrow raises. So there's that. These things are common enough to where most people are not going to raise an eyebrow and question what you're doing. And they're also compact enough to where it's not going to eat up a ton of space at your host's home. And that's valuable. Whenever you are a good guest, people are always happy to have you back, even if they are your family and your friends. You know, it's a good thing. Speaking of being a good guest, if you want to see some of the decisions that I have made for myself so that I can be a good guest and fully fellowship with my friends, family, and loved ones, I want you to click into this video right here.